Coming to the second point, which is identity. So coming to the first point, don't look at me. Pustak baat. What's up, you guys? Aditi, welcome back. And as I promised last Friday, I'll be back with Marcia's approach to identity development. So let's begin. So last week we spoke about Erikson's psychosocial stage, like one of the psychosocial stages, which was identity formation versus isolation. And using that as a springboard, psychologist James Marcia suggested that identity can be seen in terms of two characteristics. One is crisis and second is commitment. So crisis is a period of identity development in which an adolescent consciously chooses between various alternatives and makes decisions. Whereas commitment is a psychological investment in a course of action or an ideology. So this can be understood by an example of an adolescent who keeps jumping from one activity to another and nothing lasts for more than a week or two, whereas another adolescent who for example loves doing a particular activity and is totally consumed and absorbed by it and he loves doing it. So after conducting many interviews with adolescents, James Marcia came up with 4 categories of identity. The first is identity achievement, second is identity foreclosure, third is identity moratorium, and fourth is identity diffusion. Coming to the first category, which is the identity achievement category, this is where the teenagers have already figured out and they have explored all their options and all their alternatives and they have decided to commit to one particular identity. So these teenagers are basically, they know who they are, who they want to do, they who they want to be, what they want to do, their strengths, their weaknesses, all of it. This was something that I spoke about in last week's video in identity formation and versus crisis stage, where teenagers who figure out what they want to do and they can form an identity and true sense of self is basically what is identity achievement. So teenagers that have reached the identity status, they are more psychologically healthy, they have high achievement motivation and they have a high moral reasoning than any other teenagers in any other of the other 3 categories. Coming to the second category, which is identity foreclosure, this is where the teenager, the adolescent has decided what they want to do. They have committed to a particular identity, but they have not explored their options and they have not seen what other alternatives they have. So someone who sees their parents are doctors and they also decide, okay, my parents are doctors, I've seen how it is, I also am going to be a doctor. Now they could be better at something else. Maybe they could be a writer or a singer because they sing well and they have the capability and the ability to do it, but they don't actually even explore those options. They don't even actually see what other alternatives they have. They just decide just on the basis of something that they can see with their parents or somebody around them. Now there are other kinds of teenagers as well who are in this category. Those are basically who don't decide for themselves. They accept other people's decisions because they think that that's what is best for them without actually figuring out things for themselves. So someone, there are a lot of teenagers that we know, they get a degree in BCom or something and then they start working in their family business because that's what their parents want them to do. So they also come into this category. Now, I'm not saying that the person who is going to be a doctor and the person who gets into the family business are going to be happy and unsatisfied. I'm not saying that. They could be happy and unsatisfied with their life. But these kinds of people tend to have a high need for social approval and they tend to be authoritarian. Coming to the third one, which is moratorium, and this is the opposite of identity foreclosure, where you decide and you commit to a particular identity without actually figuring out your options. This is the opposite. Here you are figuring out your options, you're trying out all different alternatives without actually committing to one yet because you're not really sure what you want to do. Now, teenagers like this could have a lot of anxiety and they may be experiencing a lot of psychological conflict, whereas some could be really very lively and happening and enjoying their life, seeking intimacy with other people. And as they are still exploring their options, there will be a time in the future where they will settle down and they will commit to one identity. Fourth and the last status is identity diffusion, where they are not doing anything. They are not committing to a particular identity, nor are they trying to figure out what they want to do, what they want to be. They're not even trying out and exploring their options. So such teenagers, such people could seem be very flighty and carefree and jumping from one thing to the next. And James Marcia thought of them to be carefree and lively, but he believed that their lack of commitment could actually impair them from even forming close relationships with other people. Now that we've seen these 4 categories, and you may actually recognize that, oh, I guess I am in this category right now. Understand that does not mean that you will be stuck there, okay? You won't be, because we keep on moving into different categories at times. So there is this cycle known as MAMA cycle. So it's like moratorium, identity achievement, moratorium, identity achievement. Like for example, let's take the person who decided to be a doctor, seeing his parents are doctors. So identity foreclosure. So in early adolescence, he realizes this is what he wants to do, and maybe even young adulthood, he does get into a medical school and everything, and maybe he's in the 3rd year or in the final year and he realizes that this is not what he wants to do. So he can reassess and he can start the whole process again. He can get into moratorium stage, okay, in that category, and then he can figure out and he can look at all the other options that he has, all the alternatives that he has, and he can figure it out. And once he does, he moves into the identity achievement category. Now, although we are talking about this I keep saying adolescents, but this does not mean that these categories just stop once you are not 19 anymore or you're not 20 anymore. They can continue even in early or young adulthood. Now let's just go over those 4 categories once again with a table so you understand a little bit better. So there are 4 categories according to James Marcia: identity achievement, identity foreclosure, moratorium, and identity diffusion. There are 2 characteristics in which we can see the identity, which is crisis and commitment. So identity achievement is where you have the commitment present and also the exploration is present. So you have explored your options and now you have finally decided what you want to do. So something like, I enjoyed working at an advertising company the last 2 summers, so I plan to go into advertising. But somebody who has committed to something, so commitment is present, but they have not explored, then exploration or crisis is absent, that is identity foreclosure. So something like, my dad says I'm good with kids and would be a good teacher, so I guess that's what I will do. So they take other people's decisions because they think that other people know what's best for them, rather than thinking for themselves and figuring out stuff for themselves. Now coming to the 3rd category, where commitment is absent but exploration is present, which is moratorium. Something like, I'm taking a job at my mom's bookstore until I figure out what I really want to do. And last, where both is absent, there's no commitment and there is no exploration, that's identity diffusion. So frankly, I have no idea what I'm going to do in life. So that is it for today's video. I hope this helps you understand which category you are in, and you should not feel afraid, because it's just a part and parcel of life and everyone goes through it. Some people are still going through it. Maybe I think I am in identity achievement right now, or maybe I'm in mama cycle. We don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out together. Okay. So if you are still wondering what you want to do and you want to explore your options and you're really scared, I think you should watch this video right here. Maybe that would actually help you. or this one if you are really scared to quit and to get into the moratorium category. So watch this video. I hope this helps you, and like, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you next Friday with another psychology video.